Hey, what's up, y'all? Anthony Arcanum again, and this is the story of the haunted house that I grew up in that I've been promising that I was going to talk about. This story is not really something that I enjoy speaking about. Um, Everybody who's in my personal life knows the story, and many people have experiences with it. We actually lived in this house for about 20 years, and I say that the house destroyed our lives. I've been sick one way or the other pretty much my whole life. My mother, my father, very wealthy man his whole life, ended up losing everything. We've all had the worst luck. And the story behind this house pretty much was that we found out later that we were the longest living family to ever live there. When we moved, neighbor from across the street came running across the street, and they're like, "Oh wow, you guys are leaving finally." My dad's like, "What do you mean?" And he says that you guys are the longest living family in this house. Prior to us, nobody ever lived in that house longer than 2 years. And it's funny because I live in the same neighborhood now. I mean, I've always lived in the same neighborhood. And the house is, I think we moved out of that house in 1994, and the house has already changed places over a dozen times. So, I mean, on top of that, I was a little kid, and I've always been pretty good, had pretty good intuitions with, the second sight. And I remember as a little kid, I said, "Oh, Daddy, Mommy, we can't move here. I don't like this place. I find it very creepy." And my father's twin sister, also the same way. Like, we sort of have witch blood from my grandmother's side of the family. We all have, like, these extra sensory perceptions and shit like that. My aunt said, "Tony," she says, "I don't like this place. It's so creepy." And my father's like, "Oh, it's a beautiful house." He was very hard-headed. But anyway, I remember the very first thing that I saw, which I guess, I mean, I don't know what it was, but it was like scratches on the wall. And I remember saying to myself, those are Satan scratches. But that's neither here nor there. We moved into the house, I believe it was 1985 or 1986 in New Howard Beach, Queens, New York. And a beautiful house. And from the time we moved in until the time we moved out, there was always something going on. I was very well aware of it, and my mother was very well aware of it. My father ignored it. He didn't believe in any of that kind of stuff, and he just kind of ignored it. First thing that we started to hear was in the attic. There was always noise. It wasn't squeaking though. It was literally sounded like some motherfucker running around in the attic, and the staircase that went from the outside foyer up until the second floor. Not no. I should actually just say from the first floor to the second floor. In the middle of the night, you would hear the footsteps. My action figures would be set up; they would fall down, things like that. And you'd be standing there, and all of a sudden, you would just see this little ball, like a little ball of light, fly by. You would think that your mind was playing tricks on you. And like I said, like growing up and actually started studying experiences related in my life, and wanted to become an occultist so I could figure out what the hell was going on. It amazes me how out there it is and how easy it is and just how real that shit was. The little balls of light that we were seeing, as you guys all know, was orbs. Spirits come as orbs. So, I mean, everything that you see in the movies is real, believe it or not. I mean, the stories may be fake, but, they're basing it on fact. Um, One of the weirdest stories was I used to have this Mickey Mouse picture that used to hide right above my bed. It used to hang above my bed, not hide. And I remember one night there was fucking eyeballs in that picture. Um, One day, me and my mother and my aunt was swimming in my backyard. Totally perfectly sunny, beautiful day. All of a sudden, a black cloud comes, sits right over my fucking pool, and stays there for the rest of the day. um, One time, my aunt's husband, I ain't gonna call this dude my uncle, cause I don't like this motherfucker. If I ever see him again, I'm gonna beat the life out of him. But back then he was pretty cool, and he was asked to sleep over and babysit for me. Babysit. I was 15. I was a wild kid. My parents had to go away, and for whatever reason, I went away overnight, and he was asked to sleep over, make sure I came home and everything like that. So I got home at about 2:30 in the morning, and I hear this guy, Anthony, is that you? I'm like, yeah, what the hell are you doing here? He says, oh, your parents asked me to come over. He says, I don't like this house. He says, all day I'm hearing footsteps going up and down the stairs. He said, I thought it was you fucking around. He said, that wasn't you. I said, no. I said, never heard about the house. He said, yeah, I did. He said, but I didn't believe it. One time my friend Paulie came over, and he starts going like this. So I'm like, what happened? And he said, I'm seeing things, on the side of my eye. I keep on thinking it's your father. I said, no, that's the balls of light. There's, some kind of fucking monster or demon in this place. I've had girlfriends that used to come over and they would leave. They would hear scratchings in the walls. One of the creepiest things that ever happened was we had a downstairs, full basement. It was like the television room for myself. And I was 16 years old, and it was late at night, and I used to write graffiti back in the days. And I was writing for my former graffiti partner to come and knock on the back door, and then we were gonna go sneak out. He was a big fat kid. He would ride me on his pegs, and I would jump off, and we would catch the tags, and that would be easy way out. So I hear, so I think it's him. I open up the door, nobody's there. So what the fuck? Think he's playing pranks on me or whatever. Go back to watching TV. Hear it again. Open up the blinds, open up the door, nobody's there. Now I'm like, all right. I get out, go out front. Just wind. I don't see anything but like wind and just this very eerie feeling. Now I get scared and I go back in, and now I just bring a little steak knife, and I'm sitting there like this, waiting for this guy to show up. This was long before cell phones ever came out. All of a sudden I hear it again, and I had the most evil witch sounding scream, like laugh I ever heard in my life. And I ran out, closed that. I didn't even close that door. I just ran out the front door, and I just stayed there, freaking out. I see my friend finally walking up the block, and I'm like, you fucking idiot, you're scaring the shit out of me. And he's like, what do you mean? And I told him what was going on. He said, bro, I just got jumped. He said, look at my bike. And his bike was all bent up and everything like that. I mean, that was another weird thing. Just a lot of other things that I don't really care to speak about. But my advice to anybody, oh, by the way, we did have priests come over and bless the house a lot. My advice to anybody, though, if you are going through this, don't be stubborn like my father. Even if you think that it's a possibility that the house is haunted, get out of there. Like I said, I've had horrible luck my entire life and ill health, and my life has never gone the way that it probably would have been had I not lived in that house. Same thing for my mother and my father. And haunted houses are real. The houses become haunted for numerous reasons. I mean, they could be ghosts. They could just be bad energy. They could be demons. They could be poltergeists. I think we had a poltergeist up in that motherfucker. Not just us, but I think, the house in general was just bad. And for anybody who doesn't really know the nature of Howard Beach or the history behind it, up until about 65, 70 years ago, it was swampland. A couple of hundred years prior to that, it was Native American stomping grounds. So Howard Beach is actually built on old Indian burial grounds, Native American burial grounds. So, I mean, there's a story to that. But yeah, so this is the main ingredient that wanted me to start taking up occultism. Between my father dying and going to hell, so-and-so being ass raped by a succubus, and then this haunted house thing. And like I said, the more I look into it, and the more that I put facts and memories that I remember from a child up until my mid-teens when we moved out of that place, and just other things that have happened and that I've been told throughout my life, prepared me pretty well, and just amazes me how documented and how real all of this stuff actually is. And I think one day I'm going to knock on that door, and I'm going to speak to the people who live there, and I'm going to go exercise the place as best as I know how. I mean, I have all the ancient exorcism rites. I have, my dusts and my oils and my powders and my prayers and my spells and, the pentagrams and the sigils. I mean, I think I'm going to go and I'm finally going to face to face against that motherfucker that I think ruined my life and my family's. So, guys, please give me your input. If you guys have any kind of hauntings going on or anything like that, let me know. Anybody in New York who's having a similar problem, hit me up. I'm actually available to rid homes of entities and forces like this. And I do tarot readings. And please like and subscribe, okay? And seriously, guys, if you have anything going on in your home, in the New York or tri-state area, get at me, and we'll see what we can do, okay? All right, bye.